So, well, I come from Leuven in Belgium, and I'm a papyrologist. I have been reading papyri most of my life. Not only Greek ones, what we have here in Bologna, but also demotic ones. I have studied Egyptology a little bit, and so I know a bit of demotic. And you have then the two languages of Egypt, of the administration, Greek and demotic, and when you compare them, you can get very, very nice results. I was in Bologna 28 years ago. We studied these papyri because they were published shortly after the Second World War, and they needed an update. And then when we started them, we found a new papyrus which was not published, and then the fragments fitted together. And so, well, in the end, we just published 8 fragments forming one sheet of papyrus. We look back at the papyrus that we studied together 28 years ago when I was in Bologna for Erasmus.
Yes.
And it hasn't changed.
No.
It is part of a group of papyri, and the main interest, they are all fragmentary, and this consists of 8 fragments that don't join immediately, but we are quite certain that they form one total with a lot of holes.
Yeah, the column anyway can be more or less.
Yeah. And when you look at the back, then you can see that the fibers, the dark fibers, are running through, so that you are pretty certain that they form a wall. But there are more fragments which we still hope that they maybe belong to the same papyrus roll, and that we will look at next week. The interest of this particular group of texts is that they don't come from the usual places, because most papyri come from 3 or 4 places in Egypt, but these ones come from Middle Egypt, and we have very few papyri, and certainly early papyri, from Middle Egypt.
And you have identified the place by the names of the people, because the names and the cult of the religious names,
and the names of the villages. One village I recognize because I also teach Coptic, and in Coptic there is a village where there is a famous monastery, and I said, but that's the same name, and then apparently it's the same village. So, and we know the monastery 500 years later, and so now we have a text showing that this already existed 500 years earlier.
And this also is interesting because you remember it's a papyrus of the time of Cleopatra. There is her title here. It's a contract.
And as usual in double, the big contract below, and then on top an abstract shortened version which could be rolled and then sealed so that you couldn't change it.
And you've seen that the restoration has shown that there was a small, well, two lines. It seems there are 2 lines written, and we couldn't see them the first time because there was a paper here, and now it's evident that it was written on the verso, on the other side of the papyrus.
There's still a lot of work. That's not yet deciphered, but we're getting there. We can already read the name of one of the parties, Mr. Sokonopis, and that proves that he comes from the Fayum area, and we have lots of papyri from that area. What I like in my job is deciphering things, and gradually I realized that I could do better than my predecessors, and I could correct them and then could join fragments together. And then when I started doing also the Egyptological side, this was also a kind of fun, just to be able, after 2000 years, nobody has read it, and then suddenly I can read what's there. Like now, this afternoon with the papyrus of Cleopatra, 5 minutes ago, I could say, it's a loan of grain, and then gradually you read more, and then, that's the great fun of the thing, being able to read, for instance, a papyrus letter written by Mr. X to his wife, and nobody has seen it for 2000 years, and I see it now, and I can read it.